So, welcome back again. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration that we had with our first volunteer. Rest assured that everything that was in that will be easy for you to do. We will break that down step by step, show you many different varieties and variations of the things we've put in there. I just wanted you to see what the whole package can look like and the kind of scope that you have with it. Each step is simple, each step is easy, each step is progressive and turns your hypnotic subject into a greater and better hypnotic subject as you progress. We will talk about those things when we get to the sessions and how to design those sessions, what to put into them, and how to do them step by step. Before we get down to that road, however, I'd like to have a little word with you about some of the hypnotic principles that we're trying to express. Why? Well, because doing steps by themselves, doing hypnosis by numbers, is really pointless. You don't learn anything from that. You get maybe a slight sense of satisfaction. It's more important to me, however, it's much more important to me that you learn about the principles that we're using here so that these exercises are a demonstration of the principles in actions. And that way you get to learn a genuine hypnotic skill. So, what are the principles? Well, principle number one is that you have an unconscious mind. Everyone has an unconscious mind. If you're human, then you have an unconscious mind. We know this for a fact. Ask any neuroscientist. There are stuff happening in the back of your brain that you have no awareness of, and it is right on happening whether you are thinking about it or not. Your heart will beat every day of your life, and the day that it stops beating for a persistent period of time is this day you'll probably stop caring about it because you won't be around anymore. So what's making your heart beat? What's keeping it beating? What's changing the rhythm of your heart based on what you're doing? We'll call that your subconscious mind or your unconscious mind. The same is true of memory and learnings and so on. If I asked you for your phone number, you could tell me your phone number. Now, you weren't thinking about your phone number before I mentioned it. Where was that information before you retrieved it? You might say it was in the back of your mind somewhere. That back of your mind is your unconscious mind, once again. And those are the areas that we're trying to explore. Notice that any unconscious act feels easy and natural. If they have to stress, strain, work hard, or try and do something, then they're no longer using their unconscious mind. They're now using consciousness in a different way. It's not necessarily a bad thing to use consciousness in that way. It has some great value and some great uses. However, as a hypnotist, that is not the kind of thinking or the kind of mental processes that we want. We want genuinely unconscious one. When you think back on the session you just saw, the demonstration we gave you, you'll have noticed that actually, in fact, in the debrief, he himself was saying some things, well, nothing really happened, I did it on purpose, and other things, it kind of happened by itself, and he had some other experiences as a result. That's a classic example of the unconscious mind in action. Now, the good news is the unconscious mind has supported you for your entire life. This morning, you probably got dressed. You probably brushed your teeth or had a shower. Did you have to think about any of those things? Did you have to remember, oh my God, what do I do with this brush thing? Which way do I turn it? How do I brush my teeth? No. Chances are you just put the toothpaste on, you stuck it in your mouth and you scrubbed away and thought about other things. So the fact that your unconscious mind is running the operation for you means that your conscious mind is free to plan your day, to think ahead, and all these other things. It's a wonderful gift to have that. Also, you'll have experienced hypnotic trances pretty much every day of your life because in order to run a habit, you go into a mini trance so that your conscious mind is free to go somewhere else. When you're driving a car, for example, a lot of people have the experience that they leave their office or a place of work that they're familiar with, and they start driving home. The next thing they know is they're pulling to their driveway, and they have no recollection of the last hour of their trip. All they know is they left and they arrived, and they maybe kind of vaguely know, yeah, I was driving, but that's about it. That's a classic example of a driving trance or highway hypnosis. So, you have an unconscious mind, and that unconscious mind does things for you automatically. And trance is the medium through which the unconscious mind moves your consciousness aside in order to be able to start doing what it wants to do or it needs to do because you've asked it to. So we have those three core ideas: an unconscious mind, unconscious activity, And trance is the medium through which the unconscious mind can express itself. It's simple, it's easy, and it's natural. If you've ever learned something, if you've ever changed something, if you've ever grown as a human being, then you have been in hypnosis at some point in time to be able to assimilate all this information and come back as a different person. That is the whole point of doing trance, to help people grow and learn and explore in these ways. Now, the reason I'm defining it in this particular way is because when you start doing these exercises, as we'll go into in future sessions, you will notice that it's actually very easy to do when you realize it's happening all the time. And the only thing we're doing with these exercises, these are actually mini inductions. The only thing we're trying to do is not create some magical state of mind that you've got to be terrified about because, my God, it's so difficult to get, and what if I don't get it right and I fail and I get, nervous, or the person tells me that it hasn't worked and so on. None of that. The only thing you have to think about is, well, this is easy and this is natural, and all I've got to do is create a situation in which it can arise naturally. How do you create that? Now that is the question. So, when you tune into the next session, we're going to focus specifically on how to create the context for hypnosis to occur. It's something I call the ABS formula. You may be familiar with it. We're going to look at the ABS formula and all the principles inside of it, because once you understand that formula, it will allow you to basically create the context for trance, which means the context for the unconscious mind to express itself freely, pretty much anywhere you go. So I hope you look forward to joining me on that session, because I certainly look forward to meeting you there again.